Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and we are going to do the promised healing meditation and just a brief message from Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. I had planned for a few days now, to make this video today for the Feast of Mary Magdalene, and I woke up and noticed that a friend of mine had made a video about the same subject. Not quite the same, but I sent her a message and just said, oh, by the way, I knew I was making that video today too. So, but it's funny because we have one another's sons in our fourth house. Like her son falls into my fourth house, my son falls into her fourth house, because we're soul family. So of course we're going to be on the same page with a lot of these things. But this is just a culmination of things that Mother Mary and the Divine Feminine have been talking to me about for a while. So we have the sun moving into Leo it's about 10 o'clock Chicago time, so you can just adjust for your time zones. So this is a cusp day, and I love it that Mary Magdalene's feast is today, because 722 is an 11. And also because that's a lot of her energy, is that spirit, where, in Cancer, which I link a lot with Mother Mary, the Divine Mother, and the Divine Feminine is what she's saying. And the fixed star Vega, which falls at 15 degrees of Capricorn, faces directly the middle of Cancer. And it's a light blue. It's actually I'm not sure, but it's one of the biggest fixed stars that we can see with the naked eye. It's got a pale blue color, of course, and I have that on my midheaven. So I feel a lot of that Mother Mary energy. It's funny because I wasn't allowed to have anything to do with Mother Mary. I was taught that was idol worship. And so even though she's always been with me and guiding me and watching over me and protecting me, I'm listening to her too, you guys. I never spoke to her, or I identified her in that way. So I didn't know until, my 40s. And the first time that it was in a healing session, someone started channeling her to me, and just, wow, the sense of warmth and the unconditional love and that feeling of being in the cove, and that safe embrace where the waters are calm and all is right with the world, right? I'd never felt that before. And so I do that work a lot with clients who've had challenging relationships with their mother. And it's also things that this also pertains to those of us who are mothers. And if you aren't right now, if you're you chose not to have children, or you're a man, there is somewhere that you are a mother. And we feel like we fail a lot. And one of the things that was easy for me when it became easy for me to let go of issues that I was holding on to from childhood, was when I read about my moon in my own astrology chart. The moon is the mother. It's also our emotional body, our infancy, child. It's like the parent-child relationship in infancy as well. But when I read the challenges of my moon in my natal chart, I realized, so that's the way that it was always going to be. We both knew this coming in, and it was so easy then to just let it go and not hold anything against a person. And that's how you take your power back. Otherwise, it's that this person did this to us, and woe are we, is what I'm hearing. And the truth is that you are on a divine mission to maybe do a healing within your family. And the wound of the mother, the wound of separation from the Creator, is shown in the relationship. A lot of times it can be the father too. A lot of times it comes to us from the one who does, she's saying the primary nurturing for us. And they reflect to us what we believe, not consciously, but what our subconscious believes, some aspect of us believes that we deserve. And typically, and I know that this isn't easy to hear, and believe me, I love my mother, and I don't feel like, I'm not going to do anything respectful, share anything that, might make her uncomfortable, but, I can beat a lot of stories out there. And then I made the maybe not to the same degree or in the same way, but I had that with my own children. And we have to just say, you know what? We are all powerful souls who chose our path. Our children did too. We have contracts and lessons that they want to learn, that we wanted to learn, and we fulfilled them. And that's it. That's the long and short of it, right there, all in a nutshell. And it's so easy then to just move on from it. And when we do, looking back at, or for me, looking at my kids' moons, and I call my son and say like, hey, can you call me? And we need to do this healing. So when he's on his long drive to the fast food place that he likes to go, that's like about a 25-minute drive, he'll call me and then we'll do the healing for it. And, I know that all of us have that. Awakened, unawakened, mother guilt is real. Just remember that your child or your children chose their paths as well, just like you chose the relationship that you were going to have with your mother. But that wound of separation is when we did not receive, for whatever reason, sometimes like in my case, my mother was a child. And a lot of my clients, there were multiple children, just so many children that the mother wasn't able, or she was single and she had to work 2-3 jobs and take care of the kids. And that's where I fell down, was, having too much on my plate. And, we are going to do the healing for that now, because it's time to move on. The security that when we weren't nurtured, when we don't have that sense then of security, because that's where we get it, is Cancer. And when that isn't fulfilled, then we give that to ourselves. We nurture ourselves. We feed ourselves. Cancer is also linked to the kitchen and digestion. We feed ourselves, our energy, our physical bodies, and also our energy bodies, okay, with appropriately healthy things. When we didn't get that as a child, we tend to look for like what satisfies us the quickest, what's easy, what's convenient. We don't take time to make our food, to be careful of what it is that we're putting into our bodies, our physical and our energy bodies, is what she's saying. And then, speaking to when we don't have that feeling of inner security, it is more difficult. Challenging. I always confuse those two words. But it's challenging to be at home in our physical bodies. We tend to want to be up there, or we're in our minds, analyzing things, because it doesn't feel comfortable in our bodies, especially those of us that had physical abuse. But even just, that whole story of like emotional eating, that's Cancer. And so we can feed our insecurities in that way too. When we just feel like we need the satisfaction, we're looking for something, and it's found really inside you, in that cove, in that safe harbor that you have within yourself. And we're looking to that space and our energy being fed first before we release it to everyone else around us. And then, what else did I want to touch on with that? Just that we're going to do the healing for the wound of insecurity, okay? Because when that is in balance, then we can move on to the Leo, okay? The Leo energy. The Leo energy is your sun. If you don't have anything in Leo, your sun is at home in the sign of Leo, in the constellation of Leo. So that's where we find, you can look like the 5th house from your ascendant, the 5th house from your sun, the fifth house from your moon. If you don't have anything in the fifth house from your sun, but even if you do, it still applies. Okay, so the fifth house and your sun, where you shine, where you were born to be on stage, to bring the gifts of creativity that you have to share with the rest of us to some sort of stage. Okay, it could be two people that you share it with, but hopefully not. It's also just, that's how we feed the inner child. Okay, so you know, if you had a childhood where you weren't allowed to just run and play in nature and be free, you felt like you, especially those people who were raised in a very religious, regimented home, it's like we spent so much time being told, you know, you're a sinner, you don't measure up, you're a sinner. You need to earn your she's saying freedom. Then I mean, it's kind of hard to just be a relaxed kid when you're being, you know, deluged with hell all the time. But Leo is where you play. That's where you get to have fun and express. It's the expression of you, okay? And how you express yourself through whatever you find enjoyment in. If you're an artist, I know a lot of you watching are artists and singers. I've talked about how many creative people I have as clients, but everyone has a gift of creativity within them, okay? Even if it's writing poetry that you don't share with other people. Everyone has something to bring to the table, is what she's saying. So if we don't have that wound of insecurity taken care of, then we don't have the confidence. Because remember, you know, Cancer is at the bottom, like the base, like where our foundation is. Okay, so if there's not enough security, then how can we go up to that Capricorn, the legacy? How can we shine our Leo gifts? How can we bring our legacy to fruition on the planet if we're insecure? We're hiding away in the cove. We're not allowing our light to shine, right? So we're going to do, but I love it that Mary Magdalene's day is today, because that's a lot of, and Venus is not in, Venus is still moving out of her opposition to Pluto, but she is moving, you know, into Leo, and I didn't double check before I left my house. Like a week or so, I suppose, like 8-9 days, and I'll talk about it when we do the full moon video, or I'm sorry, the new moon video. But you know, that's when we're all called to play, all of us. That's where if you have placements in Leo, especially nurturing, but everybody has a sun, everybody has a Venus, and it's playtime. And there's so much fire, you know, we'll still have Mars there when the sun moves in tonight. And it's just like the sparks of creativity are going to be going off all over the place. But first we want to take care of the nurturing and feeding ourselves, our energy, what we're putting into our mind, who we're spending time with, because we're sharing energy with them, is what she's bringing up. And we want to make sure that we're safe within our cocoon of pure unconditional love, instead of walled off from everyone, afraid to shine, because that's where the insecurity you know, plays a hand in how much we allow ourselves to shine. It's because we don't have that feeling of knowing that we're safe and that we're secure and that we're part of the creator. Okay, because we're going to do the healing to remove that wound, and then we're also going to talk about now the competition, fierce competition is what they're saying, between women, between females. And I know that it happens with men too, and it's in a different way. You know, we were bought and sold and given to men based on what we looked like for centuries. So this is in the DNA. If you were born here, you do have the DNA, human DNA. Somebody commented once that that she didn't have that DNA. But if you're born on the planet, then you do have human DNA. If you are human, you have human DNA. And that story is ingrained where like you lived in a small village and it could have been your sister that you were competing with. Okay, so there was one eligible man in town, and he was going to have to choose one of you. And it just started this story where women have to compete against one another because we didn't have the freedom of choosing a mate. We didn't have really a lot of freedom at all. But that's a huge thing, and that's still playing out. And so we want to remove the story of competition, because that's where Leo comes in. And instead of us, thinking like we each have our own individual lights to shine and that we're worthy and deserving of having an audience, we look at other people and say, well, if I want to shine, then I'm going to have to outshine this person. Or it's competition for everyone, Leo. That's where you find the competition, and everybody has the sun. So we want to make sure that we do that healing, and then we'll allow, the soul family members who would like to take it, that they could take that for themselves. And if you had a good relationship with your mother and there's no healing to do there, or if you're a male, you could take this for your daughter, or any woman in your life who's significant, and then their higher selves can choose whether or not to take the healing. So they want me to mention that men are included as well, because it really pertains to all of humanity, is what they're saying. Okay, so and by the way, I have Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary here, and then today. Now, I've talked before about parallel degrees that we look at by declination that are not just found. You need to look at a special program for that. So I'm talking about parallel degrees, which carry the energy of a conjunction but are not seen in the signs that way. So the goddesses, Juno, Ceres, I'll tell you what this means, but Juno, Ceres, Vesta, Pallas Athena, I'm not remembering who else. They're all aligned. There's like 7 of them, and they're all at the same degree parallel, which means that as they're going around the earth, they're at the same degree. They aspect the earth from the same degree. So it's almost like they're forming like holding hands around the earth is what I'm seeing. Okay, and isn't that so cool? That's happening today. So that's the goddess energy of the fierce leader, wisdom, nurturing and nourishment, and then the energy of the crone, like the wise sage energy, feminine energy, and then the Vestal virgins. And Mary Magdalene wanted me to speak a little bit about that too, concerning that Vesta, where in the feminine, and like I said, even if you're a man, you've had this, where we used this is why Mary Magdalene is called a whore. Okay, this is how the confusion started, because back in the day, the women who practiced the sacred teachings of Isis and utilize their sacral chakra and healing, as well as all of their other chakras. And she said that she's saying that the fascination was just that it was the sacral chakra. We don't need to get into all of that right now. But the point is that that is a healing gift that only females carry. And but everyone has healing gifts within the sacral, but they weren't using them in those days as a method of healing. And so they were called whores. That wasn't like a derogatory term. That was just, it's a term given that was similar, but it has a completely different meaning and connotation, is what she's saying. No negative connotation. It was actually, it was speaking to how powerful the females were. And then, of course, lost in translation, like so much of the Bible, was that it wasn't that she was using her feminine wiles to trick men or to drug them. That's another myth that goes around. But it was a sacred healing, and it was with her, the other half of her soul, is what she's saying, with Jesus. So, or Sananda, depending on where you are with that. So, yeah, we're going to, and then, you know, it being used, and a lot of us, in fact, a close friend of mine, I did a healing with that for her. It was in her natal chart, and then we had her do the testing using kinesiology. That was, quote, her job. So she was just basically going around healing everybody that way. But we've all got aspects of that, or where we were used, because she's saying that the gifts became desecrated through the centuries. And then it was mainly just that women were enslaved for the same reason. That's how she's saying that started. So she's saying the sex slave trade is not a new issue. It's just being brought to the fore now. And more will be revealed, and not just, I'm seeing Asia, and I'm seeing Eastern Europe. So that's interesting. But she's saying that this healing will go very far in facilitating that coming to light as well. Okay. All right, everybody. So if you aren't someplace quiet, then, or alone, then probably go there. And I need to get into my normal position. Okay, so we're going to do the meditation. And the way that I work with the Creator and with Metatron is the removal of stories from the physical body. So there will be changes in your DNA. And then the subtle bodies, there are a lot more than 16 levels to each of us, and the energy bodies. So we're going to cover all of it. And you may need to drink a lot of water, take a nap, depending on, you know, how this affects you, and how with the DNA, the changes being integrated in the DNA. But she's saying it won't be anything of discomfort, is what she's saying. Okay. And then once I say, is it okay, like we're going to remove the story of blah, 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 then you just say yes out loud. It doesn't have to be loud, just a whisper, because it's important that your subconscious hears you say yes. That's when the release comes, okay? So I'm going to witness that. And then she's saying I can witness then also for those standing in proxy for the healing, like your daughters. If you're not going to have any children, you could, you know, your nieces or whoever comes to your mind. Sisters, she's saying brothers, sisters, brothers. So I need to switch hands because that one's getting tired. So there's not like a lot of, you know, there's not like anything that I'm going to have to put a camera on around here. So yeah, we're going to do the removal of the stories, and then we'll do some empowering downloads, is what she's saying. Okay? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just sit. If you're standing, sit down. You can sit with your both feet on the floor. That helps to stay grounded. And you're going to get as much out of this meditation as you believe you're going to get. If you don't believe that these stories can be removed, or you're not in a place where you're ready to let that go, then, you know, that's fine too. Wherever you are is perfect. Okay. Okay. So we're going to close our eyes, and then we're going to take one deep cleansing breath down to the root chakra, exhaling through the root chakra. And then we're going to center ourselves in our heart space. And then we're going to, and when I say witness, that can be in vision. That's the same thing, okay? Because you're creating this. You and the Creator are co-creating this. So we're going to focus about 20 inches above our heads on our stellar gateway, witnessing the lime green ray filling the stellar gateway, moving into the solar star, the soul star, the crown star, the crown chakra, and third eye that flows into the pineal then and back to the Alta Major. Coming down into the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the solar plexus, the sacral chakra, the root chakra, funneling down through the legs, coming into the Earth Star, dissolving any frequencies that are keeping you from connecting into the grid of the Earth. We're going to harness the energy of Mother Gaia and exchange this healing with her, receiving her healing energy through the Earth Star. And then we're witnessing the lime green ray flowing up through your aura to the stellar gateway and flowing down to the Earth Star and flowing up to the stellar gateway and flowing down again, creating a torus field of the lime green ray within your space. I'm going to ask the Creator to clear, align, rotate, open, and connect all of your chakras, harmonizing them, filling in any holes or tears in your aura, expanding your aura out. And then we're witnessing within the lime green ray the tiny sparks of white light shimmering throughout the ray, watching as they each grow and expand until all of them are connected and meeting, filling all of you and all of your space with the light of creation as you dissolve into and become the light, allowing the frequency of pure unconditional love to flow throughout every quark of your being. We're going to ask the Creator to remove the story of the mother who was neglectful for whatever reason. You just say yes. We're going to ask the Creator to remove the story of the mother whose example of nurturing herself became your story in some way, and the story that you are unable to nurture yourself in the healthy way. Just say yes if that's okay. We're going to ask the Creator to remove the story of the mother who reflected to you that you are separate from the Creator and that you needed to earn your way back, that you were unworthy and undeserving of full acceptance of the nurturing and the pure unconditional love coming from her to you. You just say yes if that's okay. Okay, so they want me to say that I see cuffs coming off of people. I see cuffs around the wrist coming off. I see like heart walls that look kind of like dirty old wood being dissolved through the frequency of pure unconditional love. You could say yes if you'd like to experience that. And now I'm going to ask Mother Mary, who is a part of each of us, as we're all part of the Creator, to fill your heart space with the frequency of the unconditional love of a mother who fully accepts you, who nurtures you, who cares for you, who teaches you how to look to your needs, your own needs first, before looking to the needs of others. And that you choose now to allow yourself to be in a space of safety within yourself, within your own heart. That you're safe there, that you're held, that you have found the warm love of a mother that you have been searching for. You could say yes if that's okay. And now we're going to ask the Creator to remove the story of fierce competition that pits female against female, that causes disruption in the flow of the divine feminine and the sacred divine feminine gifts that each of you, male and female, hold within yourself. I'm channeling Mary Magdalene. Say yes if that's okay. We're going to ask the Creator to remove the story that anyone is better than, more gifted than, more talented, that anyone is more equipped to do the work that is the desire of your heart. You could say yes. That all of us now choose to move through the frequency of pure unconditional love in harmonious alignment with the purpose that we came here to fulfill, that matches perfectly the desire of our hearts. And that you're allowed to do that in harmonious cooperation with other females, other males, and with all that is. You could say yes. That you need not go looking for a stage. That, as another master once said, the world is a stage. So you could say yes if that's okay. And that you release any fear that what you have within you, or any lack of confidence that causes you to question whether or not you have any gifts to bring. She's saying to just go ahead and release that story, yes. And then we're going to ask the Creator. Okay, and then we're going to ask the Creator to remove the story of the misuse of the sacred gifts of the divine feminine and the betrayal of those gifts by the masculine and also by the feminine, other women, were exploited women, that took their gifts for granted, that used them up and threw them away much like a tissue that's been used and then just discarded. You could say yes if that's okay. And then we're going to ask the Creator to just do the healing, and this will be for the masculine as well, in the sacral chakra, the healing to bring wholeness and purity and light, and to release stories of fear and shame that we hold within the sacral chakra that have been there, she's saying, for countless generations, because sexual gifts were made taboo before the time of the church, is what she's saying. And we're going to call upon the Creator to bring those in leadership who have the opportunity and the wherewithal to bring these stories to light, and to bring justice to the victims and justice to the offenders without hatred toward them, without judgment toward them. And then she's saying without bigotry being involved, which I suppose doesn't just speak to race. So you could just say yes if that's okay. Thank you. And now we're going to do balancing as well. So closing your eyes, you could feel this in your brain. It'll just feel a little tingly, and then you may feel it like circulating through as I go on. So just close your eyes, and we're going to ask the Creator to clear anything in the mind, any psychic attacks that have been sent to you by anyone else, or that you've sent to yourself, any sent to anyone else, from all that is and send that to the light of creation, sharing forgiveness and unconditional love. We're going to ask the Creator, she's saying, to restore the gifts of the sacred divine feminine, and that they be held in esteem as they once were and as they were always meant to be. Just say yes. That there's a newfound respect for them. And she's thanking the masculine who already lived that way. Okay, and then we're just going to do balancing the hormones and the chemicals in the brain, asking the Creator to leave them at optimal levels for our best mental health, physical, emotional, overall health. You could just say yes. And then we're going to ask to align within us the masculine and the feminine and bringing them into harmonious balance, knowing that they are of equal value and what that means from the Creator's perspective. So you could just say yes if that's okay. Okay, guys. And then she's saying we're going to ask now, well, her advice now moving forward is shine on. To be confident in what it is that you have to bring, whatever that is. And that all of us, that life is interesting for us all because we all have our unique special gifts to bring forward in whatever way we choose. And there's no wrong choice, is what she's saying. And we can let go of pressure. We can just release pressure that we put on ourselves to shine a certain way. There's no right or wrong way. It takes all of us to make up the whole. That the whole is the complexity of all of us together is what makes us each unique, but also much the same. Okay? And I'm just going to ask for all of you who would like to have Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene with you in your space, holding your hand, is what they're saying, that they will do that now. You could just say yes, so you have given permission. And anytime, call on us anytime, is what they're saying. They're there with you anyway. You might as well utilize them, is what they're saying. Is there anything else that I was going to talk about? Okay, and then let's ask the Creator to download for all aspects and all levels. I realize that this is not conscious, a lot of these things, okay? But this is for all aspects and all levels that we're unaware of. To download the Creator's perspective and to adapt to the Creator's highest truth of the female and the male, let's say the feminine and the masculine, perfectly equal. That they're harmoniously aligned and always working together. And we're going to ask the Creator to remove the story of the oppression of the divine masculine, who is still caught up in the vice of competition and cynicism, is what she's saying. You could just say yes if that's okay. I have a feeling that's for someone in particular, or maybe a few of you. And we're going to ask for the restoration of the reverence of the divine feminine, that they be held in reverence and in high esteem once again, and that clearing up any misunderstanding that by a female or someone who is feminine being recognized as powerless, or that they have less power because they weren't born a man. We're going to ask the Creator to release that story from the collective. Remember, these things play out over a long time. We ask so we can receive. Just say yes if that's okay. And then within you and the DNA too, for the restoration of the reverence for the feminine. Whichever sex, she's saying. Or she's saying if you choose not to choose a sex. So yeah, she's got all the bases covered. Is there anything else? Okay. All right, everybody. So enjoy the rest of your day. I'm making this partly on the phone just because it's so much faster to upload. Otherwise, it could be 9 hours. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you got to see Amanda's message today, too. And yeah, happy Feast of Mary Magdalene Day, everyone. All right, guys, I will, this before the weekend, the video for the new moon will be up. It's an awesome new moon. And I really feel like it's a breath of fresh air is what Mary Magdalene is saying, a breath of fresh air. And can't we use one? And if you do want to make an appointment, people ask in the comments all the time, excuse me, because I forget to mention that if you hit show more, and always read that, you guys, because a lot of times while the video is uploading, they'll, Metatron will say something else, and I'll be like, oh, and so I'll just put it in the description box. Not every time, but it does happen. But that's where you can find how to book a session with me, and the Congregation of the Emerald Fire, the first Sunday of every month, where we work with the Divine Feminine. Really, we work with the elders of the planet and everyone, but that's primarily the Mary's work. And yeah, so take care, you guys. Have a great week. It's super, super intense, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Hopefully slacking a little bit. We'll have like a little break in that. I heard Aunt Ortley say that on the day of Robert Mueller's testimony, the moon is void, of course. So I don't usually pay a lot of attention to that for personally, but I think that that's saying something. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff going down this week, but thank God it's not 117 anymore everywhere. I hope that all of you guys had a break in the weather too, where it's actually just perfect and beautiful here. So I wish that for all of you as well. And sending you guys so much love, and take care of yourselves. Drink plenty of water, get plenty of rest, do something fun, okay? Do something that inspires you, that sparks that little girl, that little boy energy when they were we were carefree and hanging out by the creek or whatever it is that you did. Yeah. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.